Hi, everyone. I'm Christine Tully, President and Executive Writing Coach of Defend and Publish, and this is episode 56, 4 questions to ask your dissertation advisees. Part of this episode's topic came about from some of the questions that we've been getting from graduate students that come to Defend and Publish because they need writing help. And during one of these sessions that I had with one of our clients, I asked, what do you wish your dissertation advisor had asked you during a meeting? And this was in reference to a conversation that the client was telling me that they had with their advisor, but they said that they didn't feel satisfied when they came away from the encounter, and they don't feel like their dissertation advisor was satisfied with the meeting either. And so when I pressed, it felt like the advisor wasn't asking the questions that the dissertation student wanted them to ask, and vice versa. The dissertation student didn't give the information back to the advisor that the advisor really wanted. So neither party was satisfied. And so I started thinking about this and looking at a lot of the topics that our clients have been noting have been covered in dissertation meetings where both parties felt the conversation was successful. And this is from some of our dissertation advisors as well, who come to us for various things. So what I wanted to do in this episode is just talk about 4 questions that are sort of catch-all that could be used if you were advising a graduate student in the dissertation process. So this may look different across certainly different universities and obviously in different countries, but these questions might work in a lot of different contexts, and that's why I think they might be useful here. So the first question that I think is a really good one to start with is, how did the writing go since the last time I saw you? And I think that question will open up a lot of different aspects. So one of the areas that clients sometimes will come and talk to us about will be to say that, my writing didn't go as well as the last time. And then I can say, as a coach, well, why do you think that happened? Tell me a little bit more about that. And I can really then listen to the answer and see what the problem is. It might be that there's actually no problem at all. For example, the client was really ambitious and wanted to do, 25 hours of dissertation writing, and they only wrote 15. Still a win. They still were making progress on their project. And, so it's easy, I think, when the dissertation advisor asks that question to kind of just suss out where the student is at the moment. The student might dump all kinds of other things like excuses and say, I didn't do any writing because XYZ happened, or I was preparing my syllabus for a class, or, a lot of excuses that many dissertation advisors have heard before. But that also just gives you a sense to kind of figure out where the student is at the current moment when they come to you. So great question to start with. Another one would be to ask, and these aren't in any particular order, they can be used, once during a session, you might use all 4. But another great question to ask would be something like, what is your priority writing project to work on after we meet? And to then listen to the answer. One of the things that clients keep coming back to Defend and Publish for to tell us is that, sometimes they have problems with their advisor because they feel like the advisor will say, well, I want you to do these 3 things before the next time I see you. And fair enough, that's what the dissertation advisor might be there for. But I think some of the clients would rather be able to have a little bit of choice in the matter, particularly because they know what they have coming up. They know where they might have some writing momentum. So for example, if they're really into a chapter that, and they're getting a lot of writing done in this one chapter, but the advisor wants them to do some other things in another chapter, that can short circuit that writing process. And, once they're out as faculty members or in alternative academic careers, it's likely they're going to write in their own way to complete the projects anyway. So there wouldn't be somebody necessarily dictating those. So a bonus of this is it will make graduate students, I think, a little bit more independent in choice when really thinking about, okay, I have this meeting, what can I work on between now and this next meeting to prepare? And so by asking what a priority writing project is, you can find out where the students' interests are, but also where they're feeling the most pressure. So for example, I had a student it came in, I don't know, maybe it was about a week ago, that really was feeling pressure about not having written the methods section of this article that was going to be part of a larger dissertation project. But that wasn't really where the dissertation advisor's interests were, and it really wasn't what they were working on at the moment. But for some reason, the student really had pressure about this particular thing. And I know that in that case, I said, well, why don't you talk with the advisor about that and see if you can set a priority project to work on, but still be doing a couple of other little things. And that seemed to work out pretty well. So if you're allowing the student to just say, well, this is what I'd really like to work on between now and the next time that I see you, has the student kind of think about that for a minute. But also if they honestly are stuck, hopefully they will say, well, do you have a recommendation, or are you not, do you have something that you'd like to see me work on? And then go ahead and throw your suggestions out there. But by emphasizing the word priority, when we're thinking about a large project like a dissertation, it's helpful to then think, okay, well, I really want to rewrite this one section of my literature review, or I think I could really hone down my research questions, or whatever the project is. So that's another good one. Another one that I really like is, what do you need from me? So if you're the dissertation advisor, what do you need from me to accomplish your writing priorities or your writing goals before I see you next time? And here's where the student can ask specific questions. So they might say, well, you gave this feedback on page 2 that I really don't understand, or you suggested that I looked at this theoretical framework, but I'm not really sure I understand the framework. So this is the spot where you're opening up where the student can ask for help. And by framing it in a way as, what do you need from me to do the priority thing that you just mentioned before the next time we see each other, whether that's in a week, 2 weeks, a month, that sets the stage for giving the student some tools before they walk away from you or from that meeting. So that's another good one to suggest. And then a fourth one that I really like is that, let's say that the student is just not writing. So obviously a lot of the dissertation students that aren't writing for you as dissertation advisors will come to us at Defend and Publish because they know they're not writing, and that's why they're coming. They're coming to get help, maybe an additional support system, maybe for some reason they're not connecting with their advisor, but they're coming to us primarily for that reason. If they're graduate students, they're just not getting the writing done for whatever reason that is. So a question that I think might be asked, especially during this time, during the pandemic, during some of the racial strife that's been happening, is just, do you think that this problem is about the writing, or do you think it's about something else? Certainly, graduate students' mental health has been a big issue lately, but really an ongoing concern, as well as the faculty members' mental health. Everyone is having some challenges at the moment. So I think just, kind of gently acknowledging that not all things that seem to be writing challenges are actual writing challenges. So for example, maybe the student didn't do any writing since the last time you saw that person. Maybe you got them to your meeting very, very reluctantly because they don't want to fess up that they didn't do something. I think this is a really good question to just listen and listen to the answers and hear what's coming out. At that point, certainly you can suggest, any resources on campus that might be appropriate, or just offer, and if time allows, offer a fresh start to reset in this next 2-week period or 3-week period, or however often you meet, and say, okay, let's chalk that up to, maybe the last 2 weeks that we didn't get some things done. What can I do? You can go back to question number 3. What can I do to help you move this priority writing forward? And then as a follow-up, I know I mentioned 4 questions, but as a final bonus, I really do like an email follow-up to a conversation with a dissertation advisee. One of the ways to do this is maybe the next day. Let the student digest what you both talked about, and then send a follow-up email. I just enjoy it. I really enjoyed meeting with you. Or even if that is not the case, you might say, I'm glad that we met to talk out what these issues are. And then say, as a reminder, these are a couple of things we talked about. Please let me know if I can be of assistance. If you have some links or resources to share, put them in there. And hopefully that sets an agenda for the next meeting. So both you as the advisor and the student, don't come into the meeting confused about what's supposed to happen next. So please let us know if you have any questions or other suggestions for helping dissertation advisors or writers if you're one of those parties. And also I want to take the opportunity to let you know, as we record this in the spring of 2022, we do have an upcoming workshop for dissertation advisors on February 16th from noon to 3 p.m. Eastern time, and it is on Eventbrite to register. So if you're interested in joining us, I will pop up the screenshot of what this workshop looks like on Eventbrite, and hopefully you'll be able to join us for it. It's a 3-hour workshop where you work through some different techniques that you can use with struggling graduate students, as well as the students that are plugging along and doing fine, but you might be able to do a couple extra things to help them. And especially for those of you that just honestly aren't really sure how to teach writing to graduate students that are at the dissertation stage, this is another spot where you can get resources and tools so you actually know what to do to help them. So hopefully we will have you join us for that. And if you have additional information or suggestions you'd love to share with how to help dissertation advisees with their dissertation phase of their writing, please don't hesitate to put them on Twitter or email me at Christine@defendandpublish.com. Happy writing.